All right, so your first meeting with Dickinson this year, just, he made some threes against you guys last year. How much of a challenge is that, his ability to kind of play on the perimeter and do some things?
Yeah, just kind of his offensive versatility definitely posed some problems for us last year. The way he kind of spaced the floor and also play inside. I think we'll be more ready for it this year. I think last year when we played him, he hadn't really hit any threes on the year. And then he came into Mackey and he hit, 5 or 6. So it was definitely something we had to get used to. I think something we'll be more adjusted to this year.
When you play a guy like him, or like a Kofi last year, or like a Drew Timme, does it bring a little more out of you, or do you kind of have to just keep doing what you do?
Yeah, I think you kind of approach every game the same. Try to keep your approach as even as possible. But obviously, there's certain games where you kind of look forward to them throughout the year. Right. When you play against those high caliber bigs and the great bigs in our league, there's a lot of them. But when you play against certain teams, obviously you kind of get more excited for the matchups. For sure.
Making him guard too, I'd imagine, is a big emphasis. You want to try to get some fouls on him and wear him down a little bit.
I mean, it's tough because they'll match up.
Yeah.
They'll play zone sometimes. So sometimes when they play zone, they can hide him, and it's hard to get in foul trouble. But just kind of we'll have to attack whichever look they give us.
In that sense, was the Maryland game a positive experience, being that they kind of gave you some different looks defensively, showing zone and then switching into man and things like that?
Yeah, they gave us a bunch of different looks. They had that press, they had the 3-2, they had the 2-3, they had the matchup zone, they had the straight man. So they gave a lot of different looks that we haven't really seen this year. And it definitely was a positive thing for us.
One other thing I kind of wanted to ask you about this season, did you expect this year, did you work toward being as effective kind of a pick and roll player as you've been, or did Braden showing up just kind of bring something out of you?
Yeah, I think I've always kind of been like that lob threat, but I think just different players, you get different looks. Obviously, with Jaden, he was so explosive and he was so good attacking the rim that a lot of times he could just get to the rim and get a layup, whereas Braden's really good at manipulating that defense. He has that same quickness, same burst of speed, but sometimes he might not have that length to finish over, or that explosiveness to finish over people that Jaden did. So it creates different looks. He's become great in the pick and roll. It honestly wasn't something we worked on that much in the summer. Kind of just started doing it in the games and started working. He throws the ball on those lobs around the rim on target. It makes my life really easy.
Just how much easier has that made things on you guys offensively, that you have something you can fall back on that's relatively simple and something that everybody has to prepare for now on top of your 1,000 sets?
Yeah, it's nice. You only have those 2 fallback options. If you don't get anything out of our sets, you always just dump into me in the post, or Braden get the ball and I can set on a ball screen. Both of those are pretty easy offensive looks to get into, and it's a great fallback plan for sure.
That first action too is a big part of your post entry game too. How important is that for you, finding position around the basket, off the roll?
Yeah, it's great. Like you said, kind of like getting into those offensive actions.
Yeah.
Rather than me just running down the floor and posting up, you kind of move the defense a little bit. You make them think a little bit, make them talk a little bit, and it can throw some things off and get some easy looks out of it.
How have you, I know we've talked about this before, just learning to play without fouling, and sometimes realizing, maybe a situation where you're out of position last year, you make a foul. Just knowing maybe it's easier to give them an easy bucket than not pick up a foul. There's more value in me staying in the game.
Yeah, for sure. I think playing without fouling is something I really, really have worked on over the last 3 years. Some people say I just don't get called for fouls. I don't believe that. I think I've really just worked at not fouling people. Like you said, sometimes I'll give up the layup, sometimes I'll give up a dunk, because I feel like I'm more useful on the floor than maybe 2 points, or maybe a chance at a block shot. I think the one game I got in foul trouble this year, I felt like I kind of let my team down in the Rutgers game in the first half. So something I really tried to work on from there is just not fouling.
Speaking of not getting called for fouls, Coach Payne went to bat for you after the Michigan State game. How important was that for you? He's got your back and you're getting the hell beat out of you basically every night, and I think he felt like somebody needs to say something here.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Obviously, I know Coach Payne always has my back. He knows how much I get fouled. He knows I get fouled every possession. I think a lot of people know that, but you can't call it every possession. Obviously, they'll have 2 hands on my back. They'll have one hand up. They'll have a knee up my butt. Those are just fouls. They'll put all their body weight on me. That's just a foul. But I'm strong enough I can kind of deal with it. They can't call a foul every possession. So that's something I have to just deal with.
Have you noticed, I know it was that way in the Maryland game, the way that they're getting called changes throughout the course of the game.
Yeah, it's definitely it can fluctuate. It's tough, like I said. The Big Ten refs, I don't envy their job at all. It's a tough job.
Your future's not in officiating.
No, definitely not. I think it's a very tough job for them because, like you said, they can go through those stretches where they just start calling everything. But the defense, like Maryland, they just didn't change anything. They just kept they kept fouling me. They kept fouling me. They kept fouling me even after getting called for everything. I think I got Reese and Swanson Rogers. I think I got 2 fouls within 5 minutes or 10 minutes of the first half. Obviously, you don't want to the refs didn't want to just put them both in foul trouble, I guess, and have their point guard guarding me for the second half. So I guess they had to ease up on the calls, but it's definitely tough trying to adjust mid-game to the way that the refs are calling.
How much have you tried to build a relationship with the refs? I mean, you see these guys over and over again. I mean, do you try to communicate with them? Do you try to I don't want to say get them on your side, but do you try to understand where they're coming from a little bit more than maybe you did early in your career?
Yeah, for sure. Always before the game, I'll go up, I'll fist bump them. I'll say hi, say what's up. I think they're human too. They make mistakes. Obviously, I'm human as well, so when they make mistakes, I might get on them a little bit. But I definitely understand where they're coming from. I understand it's a hard job, and I try to build a relationship with them because that can go a long ways for sure.
If you hadn't picked up basketball, what would you be doing right now? I mean, would you have stayed the baseball route? I mean,
probably, yeah, I'd probably still be playing baseball. I'm not sure if my shoulder would still be holding up. But yeah, if I could, I'd probably still be playing baseball. If not, I'd just be a regular student in Toronto, probably 7-footer.
Mason had talked about maybe